Hello?
Veronica, you good?
I am.
Let's try this again, right?
I am sorry I was so anxious when I was talking to you earlier. I just was like, I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah, you know what, and it is what it is. That link gets out there, and you never know what's going to happen. It's fine. It all works out.
Okay. So yeah, I'm
Okay.
calling
See
this
that
the
that's the way to do it. Just wash it from your brain and just move on.
Yeah, I got a couple of angry DMs from people who I'm assuming were in the session. So,
Yeah, I everybody who reached out through the conference, I just told them that it was clearly that was not the person's intent. That was clearly something that happened outside of people's control. So I would be shocked if people were upset about that, and I that's would be ridiculous to me.
yeah, it looks like the messages I was getting were coming through as it was happening when my eyes
Yeah.
were off of Twitter and like trying to figure out what was going on. So,
Yeah, it's fine. It's all good. We'll do it one more. I'm glad we had a spot and you had some time that you could do it again. So this is great.
on a really exciting note, my friend said there were 35 people in the audience before.
All right, even better. And I'm hoping that people will just look at the schedule and realize it got moved. And I dropped a little note in there. This was the session from this morning that had to be shut off. So I'm hoping that people just kind of. My always thought with the schedule is people are only reading it as they're moving through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're reading the next time, and then you read when this one's over, you'll read the one after. So I think we'll get people.
Awesome. Yeah, I was really excited that it was like, oh boy, 35 people. And then my friend told me, good news, you still broke a record for attendance, but it was people you didn't want to be there.
Yeah, it was the wrong kind of record, but okay. I mean, breaking records is still breaking records. That's okay.
Oh, I'll also be promoting another talk I'm giving on Thursday at ID24 as well. I'm going to
Awesome.
mention that at the end of the session.
Please, it's your time. Do what you want. I think that's awesome. I'm excited for that. So yeah, so you're not going to show anything. You guys are just going to chat.
Correct. It's just me on
Cool.
camera. No, is there any way you could shut off screen sharing actually? Like keep
Yeah,
attendees
I
from
can.
screen sharing.
Wait, I can. Since you're not going to share your screen too. Yes. Okay, it's off.
Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that should be turned off. I'm just really worried about this happening again.
I'm going to. Um, I can turn off the. I turned off screen share. I don't want to turn off chat because you want people to talk with you.
I can't read chat, so I will actually need a moderator to read anything that comes through for me.
Okay, so what we'll probably do, all right, I'm going to let people turn their mics on to talk.
Okay.
And what I'm going to suggest is when you start, just throw that out there to the group that you're not going to, that the chat is not on for the session and you guys are just going to have a conversation instead.
Oh no, you can I think it's fine if you turn on chat. Maybe if people need to type questions. I don't know.
My fear is that people will type a question and I'll be watching one of the other sessions and I won't see it right away.
Oh, that's a good idea then. Yeah, I'll just
You
set
know
it
what
up
I
as
mean?
chat.
Yeah, and so let's try it that way, and I'll still be floating around kind of in the background. And if it seems like things are going off the rails, I'll pop on.
If I get bombed again, I am gonna try and
I
call more
I
quickly.
have my eye on it, and you. Well, first of all, there should be no way anybody can take over the screen to show anything because there's no way because I turned that off. So that
Yeah.
and the fact that your screen now is directly in front of me as I sit here.
Okay.
Um, and so there is, if it changes from this screen that it's on right now, I'll see it right away.
Okay.
Yeah. So I feel confident that I will be able to catch something if anything manages to happen. The only thing that might happen is at this point, someone might turn on their mic that you don't want. And if that's the case, I have the participant list up. I can see who's talking and I'll just bounce them right out of the room.
Or I think you can mute them too.
I'll just bounce them out of the room. I'll just leave
That
them in.
works too.
Yeah. Let's not mess around. Let's just put people right out of the room.
What a day.
All right. Take a breath. I'm going to go check on one of the other rooms and then I'll be floating around in the background.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Veronica. Appreciate it.
Hello, everyone. We'll be getting started with the session in about 2 minutes. Hello, everyone. I'm waiting on confirmation from the host to make sure that captions are working and the session is being recorded. If you guys wouldn't mind, please mute your mics because the chat is currently disabled for this talk, and I will be having it as a conversation instead, so you can ask questions verbally.
Perfect. Veronica, the captions are working and the session's recorded, sorry.
Oh, it's recording?
Yes,
Perfect.
we're set. We're on, the recording's going and the captions are going. You're all good.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Well, welcome everybody to the new and improved session on tips for improving confidence with using assistive technology. My name is Veronica Lewis, and I am a senior at George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia, studying data science and assistive technology with a special interest in visual impairment. I also run the website Veronica With Four Eyes. The URL is www.veronica.com. So that's Veronica with Four Eyes. I write about low vision, assistive technology, college transition, technology, education, design, and so much more in a way that's accessible for beginners and people who may not be as familiar with assistive technology. Whether you're new to the world of assistive tech or just want to know what's new, Veronica with Four Eyes is a great source for you. However, if you told me 10 years ago that I would be calling myself Veronica with Four Eyes on the internet, or admitting to people in general that my glasses didn't make me see 2020, I don't honestly think I would have believed you. You see, I was diagnosed with low vision at the age of 3, as well as a common childhood eye condition called accommodative esotropia, which normally is fully corrected by glasses and also disappears around the age of 9, leaving the person with 20/20 vision. For me, I grew up with the assumption that my vision would continue to get better as I got older and didn't bother to learn how to use a lot of assistive technology things that could have helped me in the classroom. I felt like those things were reserved for people that had worse vision than I did, or that there was no such thing as assistive technology for low vision. I wish I could go back in time and tell myself that I don't need to be getting a C on my math test. There's tools out there that could help me with being able to be successful in my classes, and that could help me as a student with low vision. But the other thing was that I was worried that people would see me as different. I didn't want to admit to people that my glasses didn't make me see perfectly because that didn't make sense to a lot of people, sometimes including my own teachers. So for that reason, I kind of struggled through school, especially in late middle school, early high school, as my vision sharply progressed downwards. It was a really difficult time, but there was a light at the end of the tunnel. When I was 14, I had the opportunity to go to an assistive technology conference at what would be my future university, George Mason, and I was able to see how assistive technology could help me to transform how I was approaching my educational materials and even doing different tasks outside of school as well. However, there was also the wonder when I started using assistive technology of whether people would see me as different or as I was trying to take advantage of the system. It was a lot of anxiety, and for a while, I didn't feel confident using assistive tech in the classroom. But over time, that improved greatly, and now I am very proud to be able to share with others not only that I use assistive technology, but how I use it as well to audiences all around the world. Today, I'm going to be sharing some of my favorite tips for improving confidence with using assistive technology and how to help students and people of all ages, really, with feeling more comfortable about using assistive technology. So one of my first tips is to show how assistive technology can be used outside of the classroom, or at least in multiple ways. For example, with the multiple ways, I had to use a calculator in one of my classes, and I was really concerned about how I was going to use it because I didn't want to have to use multiple different calculators for my classes. You see, when I was in middle school, I had to have 4 different calculators for how I wanted to calculate different things. One calculator kind of did graphing okay. Another one was a 4-button that was in really large print that I could use on standardized tests. There was an entirely different calculator I had to use for science, and sometimes I just gave up and used a calculator I found on the computer. One of the things that helped me was trying to find one tool that I could use in as many different contexts as possible. And in this case, it was a calculator app called the MyScript Calculator, which is available on Android and iOS, that allowed me to use it in standardized testing, within all of my math classes, and within all of my science classes as well. While I don't use it for every single thing in my calculus class right now, having access to a tool that I can use in multiple different ways is really awesome. Another great example of this is a tool that allows for adapted reading. My personal favorite is the Microsoft Immersive Reader, as well as the Pocket app, which allows me to be able to take the textbooks I'm using in my classes or longer assignments and be able to simplify the reading view so it is more easy for me to track it with my eyes, and I can use it across all of my classes or wherever I need to have reading done. Another thing I thought of was how I was helping a younger student who has recently diagnosed low vision with learning how to use a visual assistance tool like Seeing AI or Google Lookout to be able to help them with reading their math homework out loud. They told me they didn't like using the tool very much because they had trouble positioning their hands to be able to show how the assignment within the view of the camera, for lack of a better term. And while we worked on trying to find an option that would allow the student to not use this virtual assistant, I decided to help them try and get more comfortable with using it at first. For example, we used a short text feature to be able to have them read a picture book with their younger sibling. We then used a product identification feature so that they could identify some of the snacks in the kitchen, and they could better see what flavors there were for different things as well. We also showed them how they could read signs at a local museum or around different areas in our community. And we also had them take the device on a walk and be able to show how they could identify different plants and animals. If they held the camera still and hit the button on the screen, they would be able to hear what species they had encountered. They also could read handwritten notes from friends as well. I think one of my favorite things we tried out, though, was they were wondering if they could use the facial recognition tool to be able to help them recognize their classmates or other things around them. They asked me if that was possible, and I said, yes, absolutely. And they turned around and said, I'm going to go try facial recognition on the dog. I don't know how the dog felt about trying to be recognized by the Seeing AI tool, but it was definitely awesome to be able to see them become more comfortable with holding the camera at an angle where they would be able to get information. Another tip I had thought of that helped me a lot when I was in college was being able to customize the appearance of the device. Because assistive technology can sometimes look really boring. there's a lot of these high contrast color schemes are only in black and white, which isn't always the most accessible color scheme for me. Or a lot of assistive technology products only come in basic colors. So I've always wanted to take my assistive technology and make it a lot more colorful. Some examples of ways I've done that include having a pink blindness cane, as well as a couple of other colored blindness canes. I have a post about how I ordered them on my website. I have a large mouse cursor that is a bright shade of turquoise instead of white. I have a colorful high contrast background on my iPad so that I can easily find applications on the screen and things like that instead of having to use what I consider a boring solid color. I set my phone wallpaper to be one of my favorite photos in full view, as I have a gesture-based phone layout, so that way I can just open applications with swipe gestures. And I like that I can see this picture in full view. And another thing is I also have my glasses that are in frames in my favorite color, purple. So it's less obvious that I wear dark tinted glasses when I'm standing outside because the darkness in my frames complements the darkness of the tint. Some other fun ways for customizing assistive technology can include adding fun stickers or cases to it, customizing audio feedback so that way there are different audio cues when you open things, designing custom icons for programs in a tool like PixArt or a similar photo tool. You can save them as .ico files and set them as custom icons for a bunch of different tools, or sometimes even just naming the assistive technology tools. My first screen magnifier ever was named the Dinosaur because it reminded me of one of the very old Windows computers, and it always made a weird roaring sound whenever I turned it on. And one of my friends named my purple blindness cane Prince after the song Purple Rain. So that way I wouldn't feel as weird about having to carry around the cane. I would always just think of my friend whenever I used it. Another really valuable thing can be seeing the devices in action and being used by other people. As I mentioned before, I never met another person who was blind or had low vision until I was in college. And I was also the only student in my school district who identified with low vision. I think one of the things that would have really helped me to feel more comfortable with using assistive technology is seeing how other students around me were using it in different ways, and seeing how teachers had helped to support them in the classroom as well, instead of me just walking in and going, hello, here's my new assistive tech tool, and my teacher's going, what is that? I don't know. For students where seeing other students in action isn't an option, some other great ideas I've had include reading blogs of others with similar disabilities talking about how they use various products, watching YouTube videos. There are tons of awesome blind and low vision YouTubers who are out there. I can't recommend anyone off the top of my head because they use so many different assistive technology tools, but I highly recommend exploring this option. Attending virtual or in-person meetups or events by the Department of the Blind and Visually Impaired or similar large organizations, and also just reaching out to people on social media can be a valuable tool for learning more about how they use technology as well. As a side note, I am always happy to talk to students or blog readers, and you can contact me on my website if you have more questions about supporting one of your students. Another helpful way to look at assistive technology and improving the confidence in it is thinking of it as a secret weapon and not necessarily a crutch. Now, I know this seems really weird, and I'm not trying to imply that disability is a superpower or some sort of secret advantage, but it's helpful for me to think of my assistive technology as a secret weapon that can be used to complete different tasks or fun activities, instead of as something that's tied to negative feelings or that I have to exclusively rely on. For example, when I first started using large print more often in my classes, some of the thoughts I had to myself were, oh my goodness, I can't believe my vision is so awful that I can't read small print anymore. This text seems large enough to be on a billboard. I wonder if the kids in class think it's weird that I get different looking assignments than them. I can't find anything to read. Why can't I read my music? Hey, what if I tried to read small print? Answer, I can't. Now that I have been regularly using large print and adapted displays, and my vision has changed even more over the years, some of the ways I look at these tools include, hey, I can easily increase the font size on my favorite devices so I can read the text no matter how bad my eyes get. If I can't see something, I also have the tools to be able to read the information in large print or with a screen reader or a or text-to-speech device like Select to Speak. No one in the room cares that I am using large print. There's an online library where I can find any book I want in a format that works for me, and my e-reader supports large print too, so I can read this. The tooling I'm talking about here being the amazingness that is Bookshare. Another thing for the music is I can enlarge my music on my iPad or on paper and adapt a lot of my other favorite activities to include large print or other assistants. For example, I really like cooking and baking, and I can put recipes on my Amazon Echo, so that way I can follow along with them. Another thing that helps me to feel a little bit better is that the fact I can't read small print doesn't mean that I am less worthy of being educated or reading for fun. I can adapt things as needed or ask for help, and it doesn't make me any more difficult to work with or things like that. Another thing that's really helped me with being able to improve my confidence with using assistive technology is using humor. I love being able to make myself and others laugh, and have used it a lot of times with being able to better accept different changes with my disability and technology needs. While I don't always feel comfortable with other people making these jokes about me, unless these people are my friends or other people who have disabilities, I do love seeing people laugh with me as I learn to use a new tool or adapt to my changing disability. Some examples of jokes I've made, well, I mentioned one earlier. I referred to my video magnifier I used in high school as a dinosaur. I once wrote a short bio for my student profile that said, I go on adventures and run into walls, sometimes both at the same time. I've jokingly referred to standardized print as text for ants because it seems so small to me. So I would look at an assignment and go, oh, this must be text for ants. I need to go look for my large print instead. One time, I received a large print text booklet that was very oversized, so I jokingly told my friends in the class that my test was large enough to stretch across the cafeteria in order to help me feel less embarrassed about having a test booklet that was so big I almost had to move to the floor. Another thing that has kind of helped me, especially when I first started using a blindness cane, was finding humorous ways to incorporate a human guide for certain activities and not feeling so left out that I had to rely on another person to help me with completing a task. For example, one time my friends and I decided to wear matching outfits to an event so that people would know we were together and they were helping me out with things. Other times we have been able to team up on different activities and be able to play different games in social settings. And it's been a lot of fun to be able to have fun with my friends and still be included in these things. Another thing that has really helped me is being able to use built-in assistive technology tools whenever possible. Microsoft, Apple, and Android all have amazing accessibility tools that are built in, so I don't feel like I have to use a different device than everyone else. An example of a tool I've been using a lot today is the reading view on my iPad, which allows me to simplify the display of a website within Safari, Twitter, or other similar web applications, and I can read it in very large, bold print, similar to the dynamic text on my iPad. I don't have to worry about using a special magnifier software as I feel very comfortable using this large print. An example of a tool built into my Android phone would be the Google Live Captions. Now, I don't use captioning full-time necessarily, but in situations where I do need help with following along with captions and they aren't available to me, I've had great luck using live caption and similar tools like Microsoft Translate to be able to get captions in real time so I can follow along with a conversation. And my computer has tons of awesome accessibility features built in as well, so I feel like I don't have to rely so much on third-party applications. Another thing I did for a younger student was we played in a game called Assistive Technology Wizard. So this is a very young student. She was about 11 years old, and she didn't know a lot about what assistive technology tools were available to her, but would express a lot of frustrations on activities she was not able to do in the classroom. So we would play a game called AT Wizard, where she would sit down and tell me what was going on. So, for example, she might mention that she was having trouble with seeing the board because she was further back in the classroom and the table was at an angle where she was staring directly at the sunlight. So we did a magical teleportation and were able to move her to another seat where she was able to see better. In a more technology-related thing, she mentioned that she had trouble with using the keyboard. She felt like the letters were very small and it was difficult for her to practice her typing because she had trouble figuring out where to orient her hands. Well, with AT Wizard, we were able to find large print keyboard stickers that we could add to her computer, as well as add tactile bump dots so that she would be able to find the keys more easily. She would not have known to ask for these types of supports. So I think that having that conversation and being able to help with showing that there are tools out there that could help her with dealing with these things and that she doesn't have to just try and adapt to a situation that's not necessarily accessible for her, I think it was a really positive thing. The last thing I thought of for being able to improve confidence with assistive technology is normalizing it. I had a really awesome teacher in high school who noticed that I felt a little bit self-conscious about using large print. So he made the test and the maps in large print for everyone in the class. He said it was awesome because it wasn't just me who benefited from this either. He said, in fact, all the test scores went up compared to his other classes, and 2 kids came in the next week discovering that they needed glasses. I think back on that experience a lot and how my teacher had helped to normalize me needing large print and helped the other students as well. Other great options can include using audio description to help with following along with videos. There's a lot of great services for audio description in educational materials, including, did I really just blank on the name? I did. They have a post on my website. I will be posting the link in the document at the end. And there's also things like you described that can help teachers and other people to be able to create their own audio description for YouTube videos with no additional equipment needed. Having the audio description on for everyone can help with people following along with different things in a video and also aid with taking notes as well. There's a lot of really great options out there, and I think that by normalizing using assistive technology, by taking advantage of the free resources that are available, it can help a lot of students to improve their confidence. Now, I know that not all students are like me. I know that there are students who may be resistant to using assistive technology and may feel like they don't need it right now. What I would tell them is that you may not need it right now, but that doesn't mean it can't benefit you right now or that it won't benefit you in the future. I am an advocate of making sure that students are able to learn as much as they can about assistive technology and being able to know what tools are available to them over struggling to figure out what's available. An example I like to think back on is that I had very poor screen reader skills. I had a lot of trouble following along with a screen reader when I was in college and late high school as well. Well, one day I woke up and had a very bizarre allergic reaction where my eyes were completely swollen shut. No light perception, nothing, for the span of about 2.5 weeks while we waited to try and figure out what was causing the swelling. During this time, I really struggled with being able to use a screen reader fully, and I saw a lot of my grades decreasing as well. Once my eyes opened up again, I really started investing in being able to practice with using a screen reader and being able to ensure that if this happened again, which it did, that I would be able to still continue with my schoolwork and other tasks without having to rely on other people or calling services like Be My Eyes 50 times a day because I realized I didn't actually have a very good mental map of where I was going. Assistive technology can be an amazing tool, and I hope that this presentation has helped to show different ways that people can become more confident in using it. I'm going to be taking questions right now. Feel free to unmute your mic and ask your question, and I will be happy to answer it from there. Again, chat is disabled for this session because I am not able to follow along with it.
Veronica, have
Yes?
you have you tried any of the live scribe devices, or is that something you've ever implemented, or no?
LiveScribe as in the scanner pens that allow you to read out loud?
Mm-hmm.
I actually have a similar one. It's called the ScanMarker Air.
Mm-hmm.
And I got that one because it was wireless and connected more easily to any of my devices, like my Windows computer, iPad, and Android phone. I've benefited a lot from using those, but I don't necessarily read a ton of printed materials nowadays. A lot of my
Right.
coursework is online. But I highly recommend the ScanMarker. I have a post on my website. It is actually a bit cheaper than a lot of the LiveScribe pens and is also approved for standardized testing as well as the SATs and ACTs.
Oh,
I
okay.
think people are still taking those, not exactly sure,
Yeah.
but yeah, the ScanMarker has been really awesome. It costs about $99, I believe.
So that's scan marker, and then the second word is air, like air you breathe.
Yes, ScanMarker is one word, Air is the second word.
Okay,
And you can
great.
get them on Amazon Prime. They're really awesome.
I'll look into it. Thank you.
It is not on my desk. Otherwise, I would have shown it. Did somebody else have a question?
Yeah, Veronica, could you tell me what your website is? I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
Veronica with Four Eyes. www.veronica.com. So the name Veronica spelled with four eyes. You can also follow me on Twitter and other social media platforms. My username there is VERON, the number 4, ICA. So at Veron4Ica.
Can you say that one more time?
For the social media?
Yes, please.
At Veron4Ica. VERON, the number 4, ICA. So there's the number 4 between the N and the I of my name.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I retweet a lot of different resources related to low vision, blindness, assistive technology, and even a couple personal interests within the data science field as well.
Do you use an alerting system at home for, so you know when to get up to go to class and things like that, or
Do I
or
use
no?
a alerting system? Is that what you asked?
Yeah, like the some people use the Serene Innovations where there's like, an audible alarm and things.
So I actually just use my Amazon Echo. I have it set on a custom schedule. You can build custom routines with Echo that will allow you to be able to configure different timings of things. For example, it'll wake me up in the morning and then it'll tell me like, it's time to eat breakfast. It's time to do a stretch break. Let's work on this homework now. Remember, you have this session today, things like that. So I set up the routine at night where I just have a pre-recorded one that goes on during weekdays, and it helps me a lot with being able to stay on task.
Okay, great.
I can't remember if I have a post on that on my website yet. If I don't, it will be online very, very soon because I just finished writing it. Oh, actually, another helpful thing with the Amazon Echo as well is that it can help a lot with reading as well for students who have trouble accessing print materials. I've been able to listen to audiobooks and also excerpts from some of my textbooks with the Amazon Echo by asking it to read sections of my textbooks from my Kindle library. That has been a super helpful tool, but I also don't recommend listening it to long textbook passages in some place that is very comfortable, or you might just fall asleep while listening to your calculus homework.
So do you have an Audible account as well?
I do not actually have Audible, but with the Amazon Kindle, it appears that if you connect it to the Echo, Echo can read the text out loud for you
Okay.
if the book is properly configured.
And then where do you access your textbooks from? You can use those with the Echo as well?
Yep, and normally though I use the Amazon Kindle app on my iPad or the Kindle View on my computer. This semester though, not as many of my textbooks are Kindle based. They were actually PDFs that the professor provided, and I was able to ask for them in an alternative format. Another really helpful tool I've been using this semester is my college uses Blackboard, so we've been using the Blackboard Ally tool so that I can get materials in an alternative format. I can click the A icon next to one of my assignments and download it in a tagged PDF. I can get it in MP3 audio format. With it, I can use it with the Beeline Reader and a couple of other different tools. And that's been tremendously helpful with being able to work with longer readings. It somehow made reading a 50-page database article really, really exciting. I know the bar's kind of low for database homework, but I had a lot of fun being able to read it with the Beeline Reader and not having it feel like my eyes were going to fall out of my head immediately afterwards.
Okay, thank you.
If anyone else has questions about other things related to Veronica With Four Eyes or going to college with low vision, I'd also be happy to answer those questions right now as well.
You said you use an Android phone?
Yes, I have the Google Pixel 2.
Oh, that's what I have as well.
Well, I love it. I prefer Android because I feel like there's a lot more customization options available for it over iOS, and the largest iPhone font size is just slightly too small for me to be able to read it. And since a lot of magnification tools can give me vertigo, I prefer to be able to just have naturally large print. I use an app called Big Font to be able to help make the text on my phone even larger, and that's been really helpful. Let me see if I can demonstrate it real quick.
And that's just an Android app that you can download from the.
Yep, I think up to 250% font increase is free, and then the others, I think you have to pay like $2 or something to unlock it. But this is an example of how the large print would look. I just wrote "Hello with Veronica with Four Eyes," and this is on the. Hold on, how big is my font today? 275%.
Okay. So why did you choose the Amazon Echoes instead of the Google Homes? You know,
So
the Google
I ended
Mini.
up choosing the Echo because Google Home devices at the time of purchasing were not supported on college Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So there wasn't an overly deep choice. It was, hey, which one of these will actually work where I'm living at the time?
Right. Do you ever think about maybe transitioning or getting one and then trying it, or no?
I do actually have a Google Assistant already, and I've worked with it a little bit, but I feel like it'd be a little too confusing to have two voice assistants within a couple feet of each other. So I
Right.
don't have anything in my room right now. However, I do really like the Amazon Echo because I have Amazon Music, and it's a lot easier for me to control things that way.
Okay. Yeah, I think the Echoes are easier than the Googles.
The Google is cool though. I learned a couple of months ago that it's actually bilingual. So if you set it for two different languages, it can follow commands from either language, and that's been really helpful.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, I would say one of the biggest factors I think about when I'm purchasing technology is how much I am able to customize it and how well it will work with my favorite applications. I have been an Android user since 2009, and I have always really enjoyed that they had so many more accessibility settings than iPhone did at first, and that I was able to use my phone independently without having to worry about needing to rely on a screen reader exclusively or having to deal with screen magnification exclusively, because with my eye condition and my brain condition together, it can greatly impact how I use technology. Oh, speaking of that, actually, I am going to be giving another talk for free on Thursday night at 9 p.m. called Why Everyone Should Design for Chiari Malformation, which is all about how my brain condition influences how I use different products and how designing for Chiari malformation can help to make a lot of different tools accessible for people with other disabilities as well. It will be broadcast live on YouTube. I have a link for it on my Twitter account, and I'm really excited to be able to present this session. So if you have any interest or any students who also have Chiari malformation or other undiagnosed neurological conditions, I highly recommend coming to check out the session.
So the link is not at your website, though. It's at your Twitter account.
At the moment, it's not on my website. I will be posting it probably within the next 24 hours as things get finalized.
Okay.
But it is on my Twitter for the ID24 conference. I think their @ is ID24CONF.
Okay.
But that's another really cool free resource. And my session, again, is at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions before we wrap up?
No more questions, but thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming. I've had a lot of fun being able to present here. Again, if anyone wants to be able to find me on the internet, my website is www.veronica.com. That's Veronica with 4 Eyes. And it's also friendly for students as well. So if you want to recommend it to any of your other students with blindness or low vision, I've had students as young as 9 years old be able to get help from my posts. You can also follow me on Twitter and Pinterest at Veron4Ica, VERON, the number 4, ICA. And you can also reach me over email, veron4ica@gmail.com. Thank you everybody for coming, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your time at the New Jersey Assistive Technology Summit.